Lalitha and Sudhir, thank you so much for joining me today. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do? I'm sure they saw your presentation earlier, but let's give them a bit of a refresher.
Thank you for having us on and putting us in the hot spot, if you will. I'm Lalitha, Procurement Geek and co-founder at ORO Labs.
And I'm Sudhir Bhojwani. I'm co-founder with Lalitha and I'm the CEO of ORO Labs.
Amazing. Do you use Procurement Geek in your title on LinkedIn?
Of course I do.
Good, good. I love that. So just in case people did not see your presentation, what's the overview of ORO Labs? What exactly do you do?
Our main theme is user experience. How do we make procurement experience amazing for every
Fun, super cool.
super cool, but more importantly, effective. People
Yes,
always ask me, so we want to deliver amazing user experience, but we believe to do that, you need a new layer. We are calling it an orchestration layer that can really, in a very smart way, automate the workflows and give that flexibility that a human being needs to do the job much, much better than they do today.
Absolutely. We definitely need more of that. Now, in your presentation, you used a lot of stories, which I absolutely loved. Now, Sudhir, you mentioned a new project shouldn't always be a tech project and shouldn't always take 6 months. Now, one of the most important questions I usually ask on my show to technology companies is, how long does it take to onboard and how many IT resources do I need? So when you said that, I literally laughed out loud. So talk to us a little bit more about that. Why did you say that? What does it mean? And how should we be thinking a little bit differently?
Firstly, I tell you, it's not a joke. That's the funny thing. That's the worst thing. I wish it was only a joke. So I'll give you an example again. So since we're talking about example, I'll follow up with another example. We're working with a very large financial institution. They had some amount of layoffs last year. During that period, CFO simply wanted to say, you know what, for all the professional services spent in our company, we want to put some new rules when we spend the money. They want to put some new rules. Very simple.
New rules.
Some new rules because, I mean, after you lay off, you don't want to just start spending money on consulting.
That's true.
So they say, okay, we want to put some new rules. So what they realize is to implement a simple rule like that would take them weeks. In this case, thank God it was not months.
Right.
But it was even the simple change like that is weeks. Just think about a slightly more complex change. Oh, there are new regulations from government for sustainability. We need to implement that. How does that impact the supplier onboarding?
Right.
So all these changes are massive. But the bottom line is this. Today's procurement tech was built for procurement and IT. I believe the tech that we are proposing should make the changes simpler, easier to implement. So this change like this I mentioned, new change, should be days.
Yeah.
Maybe even hours. Why weeks and months?
Yeah.
That's our vision.
Simple and easy. I know I come from the logistics space, and what you're talking about really resonates as well in that space also. Now, Lalitha, you used the term Men in Black. I mean, you quoted, I think, the movie. I don't know which one, because there's a couple of them. But you quoted Men in Black while talking about procurement. I don't think that's been done before. So talk to us about the correlation.
I was, thinking visually, like if you remember Men in Black, there's a scene where in a post office, inside the mail sorting machine is a bunch of aliens actually doing the work. Sometimes I feel the life of procurement is like that. You have a UI, but behind it is not necessarily technology. There's a bunch of people, minions running around trying to do data validation.
Now you quoted another movie. I can't keep up with you and your movie references with procurement.
Let's just say we needed a reference. But I think that to be serious for a second, right? I think that the reality is when people say business move fast or change is a new constant and things like that, there's a fundamental element of that we have to respect, which is that your requirements cannot be static. You have to have your technology be future-proof, and every little thing you change, you cannot do rollout, change management, etc.
Right.
So the user experience layer, the orchestration layer has to basically be walk-up experience that can actually be future-proof, that it can adapt as the users change. Like you're not going to buy a new phone, every time a new app comes out. So.
Right. That is so true. It's like a swim-up bar.
Yeah, totally.
right? At an all-inclusive.
Yeah, we won't know which type of all
customizations.
Yeah.
Because I know you mentioned customizations too, and I think you said something about having to make sure that they are sort of table stakes almost.
Yeah, I think personalization is something that you've seen it in consumer life as well, right? Like people don't want
They
to buy
want
standard
it.
stuff. They want
Yes.
personalization, but also I think the whole point of supply chain now is the cost of personalization is coming lower and lower and lower, and technology should be the same way. If you have enough people in marketing, and marketing is a big category for you, guess what? Marketing people deserve their own experience.
Right.
You have scientists in your R&D team, they deserve their own experience. That cannot be keeping on adding, to the bill of implementation.
Yeah.
So I think that is what the nature of user experience has to be for the future.
So let's talk about why this topic is so important right now. I know, I saw a number the other day. I think it said 64% of supply chain professionals are still using Excel. I mean, that is a really huge number, and all I can think of is upload and download and upload and download, right? Like, this is what people are doing. So what are the challenges within workflows? Are people still using Excel? Are we just that much more resistant? Because really, at the end of the day, if we're not moving forward with this technology, what are we doing? Because you're going to be left behind. So why is this topic so important? What are some of the challenges and workflows in procurement at the moment?
Till you mentioned Excel, we work with a very large company. They literally had 25,000 Excel sheets in a drive to run the procurement department. That's not exactly digital.
Right. Sure.
So, and here's the funny part of it. When you ask the business users who have to use those Excels, they have to bring the Excel, make some small changes, save it. God forbid if you make a mistake.
Right?
It's- It's too complicated. Then I tell you, they had more than that Excel. So they had Excels. Then they had data freezes.
And then the mental health behind that. Because if you don't save it,
How do you
you've
have
ruined
visibility?
the rest of your day.
How do you get visibility into Excels? How do you give visibility to the rest of the organization? What's going on? So I truly believe Excel is not the enemy, in honestly, because it's an amazing tool. But the problem is the procurement tech tools have to deliver a higher degree of value. So people will say, you know what, that actually is better than doing in Excel. That's the reality.
Yeah. So let's talk about, like, every tool, every technology. I talk to a lot of technology companies, claims a better user experience. That's what we're talking about today, right? Not only a customer's customer experience, but also internal experience. What are they missing? What are we missing today?
I think sometimes people confuse user experience and user interface a lot. We have a third co-founder. His name is Yuan. He always gives this example, so I should credit where it's due. He would always say, "Is Craigslist a beautiful looking UI?"
That's true. I've never really thought about it that way.
Is it beautiful, you think?
Well, probably not. I haven't looked at it in a long time. But it's not,
It still
right?
looks like-
Okay.
it
I
still-
was like, is this a trick question?
No, it's not. It looks roughly the same. It looks roughly
Okay.
the same, even if you haven't seen it.
All right.
But do you think it helps you get your job done faster?
Yeah.
And that is user experience.
Yeah.
And what Lalitha mentioned, the bespoke experience, I think is really critical. And we feel experience is directly tied to the workflows. That's why we started with building an amazing workflow tool that can actually humanize the experience, by virtue of which you can actually deliver personalized experience.
Love that.
We are thinking it differently. We're not thinking it about a lipstick on a pig, let's say.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, that is all the time that we have today. Sudhir and Lalitha, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your insights and experience. Loved your presentation all about stories.